So today what we're going to talk a little bit about is how to go through and develop effective fact finding. The funny thing is, this is where a lot of people cut corners, which makes absolutely no sense to me, because why would you cut corners on the best part of the sales process where you're A, learning about the client, B, learning all their objections, and C, this is really where the close starts, right? As we go through, one of the things we do in fact finding is that we help put down the client's guard to let them know that we're all kind of on the same page, and especially in our industry, we're here to solve their problem. Now, if this is your first Motivation Monday, which there's a few of you on the line that are, this is what we're going to hit through today. We're going to hit a tip of the week. We're going to do a sales shout out, and then of course we're going to do some investigation or fact finding or digging, however you guys want to call it. There's about 100 different names for it. The tip of the week for this week is we do have the joy of Amber Cochran coming up on a few of these. Now, if you guys have never met Amber before, which would be shocking because she is all over the health insurance industry here, she's going to be jumping in and doing some Motivation Mondays for us. That is an absolute pleasure because her knowledge and experience, she actually helped build one of the largest insurance centers in the US. She's a good personal friend of mine, and she said, hey, you know what, I'd like to step in, talk to a few people. So I'm excited to see what kind of tips, tricks, and things that she is going to cover in these next few weeks. Also, one other thing, I dealt with this bright and early this morning for one of my agents. The new HII short-term Aspen there, if that is one of those that you are interested in selling, make sure that you have gone through and done their training. If you have not done the training, it will not present itself on your quoting links. So you, or if you have any downline, you and your downline as well, I'll have to complete the Aspen training for that. Okay, let's go through some sales trends and some sales shout outs. So short terms, what have we been selling as far as short terms go? Well, Pivot. Guys, Pivot is one of our absolute favorites there, as well as NatGen. We also have been doing a little bit of HII. I've talked to a few people who said they are holding out for that new Aspen short term, where you get half of your deductible there for your pre-X. Completely understand it, guys. I think we should hold out for that. Limited Med, we are leading with the UHC Health Protector Guard. Pretty big fan of it. Slightly complex. If you have not sold a lot of fixed benefit in the past, it's not the easiest one to start with, but just because of the company's reputation, it's pretty strong. Plan Enhancer for the accident product here as well. Critical illness, we do that NatGen critical illness, which goes up to $100,000, and then with dental NatGen PPO, and we saw a sprinkling of Emeritus. Now our sales leaders here, we have short terms are going to be Mark Hager, Eileen Sacken, Daniel Reese. Limited Med is Stacy Thomas, Dana Newton, and Cody Randowski, as well as Aaron Ellison. So congratulations, all of you. I'll tell you, we had a pretty good sales week. As we get closer to the end of the month, our sales seem to be growing. Now, for those of you that haven't been in the industry a while, we do tend to slow down right around July. So right now we're starting this spike. We're going to keep building and building and building and building. These next few weeks are actually some huge ones for us, usually financially. We go down just a little bit there until July, and then afterwards, of course, we spike back up and absolutely knock it out of the park like we always do. Okay, so we went through a quick tip of the week, having the joy of Amber, and then of course going through and making sure your HII is taken care of, looking at our sales shoutouts and our sales trends. These Motivation Mondays are only about 15 minutes to 30 minutes. They go kind of quick. I try to make them quick for you. If I do go too fast, don't worry. These will absolutely be posted in the training section there at ahcpsales.com, as well as on the AHCP YouTube channel. So you will have a chance to go through and review these later. Actually, that's the way a lot of people do watch them, because Mondays are, well, it's a Monday, right? They can be a little rough. So let's talk about the quality investigation. Now, investigation, that's the part where you're learning about your client, right? This is the part where we go through and figure out what they want, what kind of products they want, what's going to be the best fit. If you've been following the industry, we may be having another change in our product offering. You know, we've done a lot with short term. Short terms are going to be volatile. I mean, we jumped to Major Med. Major Med was volatile. We've done fixed benefit. So with as far as it goes with our fact finding, we want to make sure that when we are selling our client, that we're going to sell them what is the best fit, the most comprehensive policy that they can absolutely afford, right? We want to do what's right by the client. How do we do it? Find out what their needs are. Good quality fact finding. So think of this as a funnel really quick. How the sales process should be, it should be a funnel. At the top, your client's going to do a lot of the talking in the introduction. Fact finding, it's the top of the funnel as well, right? A lot of talking. We want to ask open-ended questions, not questions where we get a yes or no. As you work down further into the planned presentation and the close, we want direct yeses or nos, right? Usually we want yeses. We'll do the Zig Ziglar, you get 26 yeses, you're guaranteed to close and all that stuff. But we want here the client to do the talking. So, talked a little quick there on myself, open-ended questions. So my 5 main points, my 5 main areas I will spend my time on in fact finding are going to be these: the current insurance situation, why did they call me, how are you going to use the plan, well, how much money are you willing to spend, the budget, and then when do you need your policy to start. So there's not a lot on the slides here, just gonna be a little bit of talking. But with the current insurance situation, why do I care? Right, that's the first thing. I just start out saying, okay, can you tell me a little bit about your current insurance situation? I ask the most open-ended question there because some people say, hey, you know what, I get insurance through my employer and I think it sucks and I need a new one. Okay, gotcha. How much are you paying it through your employer? It is ridiculous. It's 35 bucks a month. Had this conversation last week with a client. I'm like, $35 a month. Okay, well, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be hard for us to find a policy that's going to be $35 a month. So, we may want to take a look at some supplements for you. But so in current insurance situation, or hey, you know what? I just left my employer. It just wasn't a good fit. I quit. I lost my insurance. Great. You have an SEP all of a sudden. So you're going to work through your QLEs, figure out that that's going to be a good fit, your qualifying life event to buy a major med. Or they're just going to be talking to you saying, you know what? Actually, another one we had today would be, I recently got out of rehab and the insurance that I'm on will not cover my rehab. That's because that client, who was not one of mine, but one I'm talking with, was on a short term, which does not cover rehab and was sold it. So that might be one of those things where you're going to find out a lot of pain points. I like to learn right away for current insurance situation. It's going to level the playing field, right? One thing you're going to notice when I start doing these is I do a sales technique called hear it out, feel it back, right? So I'm going to listen to them, say it again, have them say it, and then agree. So just really quick, be okay, so you told me, yep, you're currently insured, but it didn't cover your behavioral health and it's upset you, right? Yep, okay, gotcha. I want to make sure that I spit back what they said. Why? Because A, they're going to agree that that is what they said. Second off, what happens if I miss something? Right? What happens if what they said wasn't exactly what they mean? That's the important part. The second would be the reason for the call. I like to ask them kind of how they're calling, why they're calling, what made them pick up the phone and call me today. If you called the pain point, if you've been doing sales for a while, everybody says you need to have the pain point, you need to have the pain point. Well, I'm going to tell you, you actually need to have the pain point. With this, how I like to ask it is, out of everything that you've been shopping, what about it have you not liked, just so I don't make that same mistake? Because I'm going to assume, yes, you shopped. Yes, you have looked at other insurance. But there's something about there that you didn't like. Most people try to buy this stuff online. They don't want to deal with us. That's completely fine. But that's why I'm going to go through first. What's your current insurance situation like? So currently, what do you have as far as insurance goes? Okay, gotcha. So you said, you're not currently insured. You recently left your employer. Gotcha. Okay, so you've left your employer. Perfect. Now, out of everything that you've shopped for so far, what about them have you not liked? So I don't have to say, hey, have you been shopping for insurance? Because people will lie, right? I'm just going to start making the assumption. If they say, you know what? You're actually the first person I called. Oh, wow, okay, gotcha. So you haven't looked at anything online, or how'd you go through and get my information? The third thing there will be the plan usage, right? Plan usage is kind of important, so how are you going to use it? Now you can go through and say, hey, have you used the plan in the past? What have you done? What do you like? What do you not like? I don't really find those super effective. I like to have a structured set of questions that I go through. And so here they are. First one will be, are you currently or anybody on this policy taking any prescriptions? Why would I ask that? Because this is how all my conversations start. Well, I'm perfectly healthy. Congratulations. What prescriptions are you on? Well, I'm on a high blood pressure and a high cholesterol med. Okay, gotcha. I don't have to sit there and insult my client. No, you're not perfectly healthy. You're full of it. No. Okay, gotcha. So do you know the names of those meds and the dosage? I will always get my prescription list from my clients because I want to make sure it's covered. If not, we have some really nifty drug programs out there, GoodRx, Pram, all of those that have been there. Other one is, for everybody on this policy, how often are you going to go to the doctor each year? And they'll say, I'm going to go 3 or 4 times. Okay. How many of those are going to be for routine visits or just like colds and flus? Why do I ask the cold and flu question? Because most of them are going to have teledoc now. So if they tell me 3 or 4, they go in for a physical every year, well, that puts me at 2 to 3. They go in for a cold once or twice, that puts me at 1. That means, so when I'm looking at a policy, I really have to worry about the one big doctor visit, because for the physicals, depending on what they're on, it might be covered if it's an ACA. If it's a short term or a fixed benefit, some have benefits for that now, depending on which one it is. And if it is for a doctor visit, that's going to tell me maybe if they go in for something else, or what are their pre-existing conditions. My favorite one is the next one, which is going to tell me, excuse me, sore throat here, guys. It's going to tell me how much are you actually going to use the max out of pocket. I do this for all my major med clients. I do this for all my short-term and my fixed benefit clients. How many times in the past 10 years have you had over $1,000 in medical bills? And they're going to ask you for some clarification, and you can go through, like, do you mean before the insurance or after? We'll say before. How many times have you had over $1,000? Every year I hit $1,000. Wow. That client needs a really tiny max out of pocket, right? So they need like 1,000 or 2,500. Or if they say, yeah, working with a guy who's perfectly healthy, he's 35 years old. My only comment is that he sucks at going to the doctor because he never does, right? I want him to go to the doctor. I want him to be able to make sure he's still healthy, but he never hits it. So why would I give him $1,000 max out of pocket if it's outside of his budget? That's going to let me open it up and maybe give him a little more room for accident policies or critical illness, since nobody ever expects those. And do they have anything scheduled in the future? Get dental clients, right? They are our favorite. Well, I have a tooth that just fell out of my head, but I need you to pay for it. Okay, gotcha. I need to go get, my son just broke his arm from a skateboard and I need you to go pay for it. Not going to happen, friend, right? So it can either save your sales process or make things simple for you. For your plan usage, I wanted to give you guys a visual that goes on in my head. So this is what goes on in my head right away. Fixed benefits, right? Those are going to be for people who want everyday expenses. They want access to a doctor. They're looking for a long-term solution, right? Maybe something that that's portable. They can carry with them to an employer. Multiple people to cover with a really tiny budget, and they don't have a lot of years over $1,000. So if I'm going through, that might be a really good fixed benefit client. Depending on the fixed benefit, some might pay for pre-X after 12 months. That's great. A lot of them are going to give them access to the multi-plan network. We all know that one. It's super common. It's one of the largest networks out there. With short terms, there are going to be people who are worried about the big what if, right? Man, my sister had cancer and it cost her $100,000. Not a fixed benefit client as much, right? They think insurance is very confusing. Limited med customers usually have to be a little more educated. They have to know how it works. They have to be able to work a system. Someone who's had a chronic condition, that's probably going to be your major med, right? So I said short-term / major med here, and they have many years over $1,000. The last one here is going to be both budget and start date. And everybody goes, you know what? I don't like to get budget. It's extremely uncomfortable, okay? You know, if I give you the best health plan in the world, but you know, it's not within your budget, I'm not really helping either of us, am I? Well, how much does the average health plan cost? You know, I have policies that range anywhere from $60, and those are going to be ones that cover, that's just going to give you some money for accidents, up to ones that are going to cost a couple thousand. Can you pay a couple $1,000s a month? No, I can't. Great. So what's going to be a reasonable budget range I need to stick within? Right? We have to make sure to get the budget. You have to make sure to get it, because if you don't stick within the range, it's a complete waste of your time. I'll play games. I have literally people say, well, I can't give you budget. I'm like, well, I can't give you any information about health insurance because I have no idea what I can give you. Well, isn't all health insurance free? Absolutely not. The budget's very important. The last one would be, okay, so if all the stars align, right, and I get you the absolute perfect policy, and we're going to keep it under your $500 budget here, when do you need this policy to start? Well, I needed to pay for a condition last week. Not going to happen, right? Or I need to start on the 1st. Absolutely, we can make that happen. Now, I go through and I dig in each one of these 5. I don't move forward. I literally have 5 checkboxes in my head. If you're not going to tell me your current insurance situation, I'm not moving forward. If you can't tell me why you called, I'm not moving forward. I literally wait, and I will sit there and I'll play in those little fields, those little boxes, until I find my information. When I first started, well, doing it this way, I should say, I actually had these 5 boxes on all my sales scripts, and I would check them off as I go, just to make sure. Don't get me wrong, I had the lines where you can write in all your numbers and stuff like that. But to me, it was the comfort of checking them off. So at the end, you need to do a summarizing statement. This is extremely important, right? And this is not at the end of the call, this is at the end of fact finding. Here's a little trick when it comes to people. They want to know what's going to happen, and if you have ever watched any of my videos on how to open up a call, I say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a few questions about your current insurance situation and what you expect here out of the plan. Then I'm going to go through and create a perfect one for you, and we can make any adjustments that we need to. That's completely fine. But as long as you like what you hear, we're going to go ahead and get you applied for that, which says I'm going to ask you questions, present you your product, and close you. Is that okay? Absolutely. Well, then what I do is I kind of do a next step statement at the end of each one of my steps. So that's the end of introduction. At the end of fact finding, here's what mine does. Okay there, Nick, so we went through and I found out kind of what you need. So let's just make sure we're here on the same page. So you're looking for a policy that's going to help when you go to the doctor, 2 or 3 times a year, mainly for colds and flus. Something that might help cover you a little bit when you get into those accidents, instead of paying a ton of money, it would probably be somewhere lower, like maybe $250. And something that's going to help make sure to pay for your high blood pressure med. On top of that, you wanted to keep that under the $460 range, and it needs to start on the 1st of the month. Is that right? Yes, perfect. So if I find that policy, we can go ahead today, right? Perfect. I can't tell you how many of my clients will literally stop here going, well, actually, I need it to cover X, Y, and Z. It just gets them to agree. These are the yeses, the Zig Ziglar yeses. This gets them to agree on what they want, what they need. When you go through the summarizing statement. Summarizing statement is saying, hey, I'm just going to wrap up everything we talked about. I'm now towards the end of the funnel. There will be no more open-ended questions. I'm only going to ask you yes or no's. Okay. Also make sure you're not missing anything. That's one of the most important parts of this summarizing statement. What did I miss? I want to make sure we're on the same page. What did I miss? It's okay to miss things. It's going to be normal. It's going to happen, but it's not okay to miss them at the end of the process. If you miss them right here in the beginning, your client can stop and say, you know what, you missed this part and it's very important to me. Okay, not a problem. So that is what I do. I have those 5 points. I go through, I do a summarization statement, and from then I know kind of which way I'm going off of my roadmap, but that fixed benefit and short term, and I'm able to present pretty quick. Now keep in mind, these are recorded. They will be on YouTube soon. So if you want to go back through, kind of listen to what I said, pick a little knowledge. Now, if there's anything on here that you had additional questions to, feel free to email me here, training@ahcpsales.com. Or you can always call our agency services as well here at 877-228-8773. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. If not, make it a great week, and I'll see you next Monday.